This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks won their third game in a row. 122-117 over the New Orleans Pelicans. Maybe it was a little bit closer than we all wanted it to be, but they pulled out a win to remain at the top of the Eastern Conference, extend their winning streak to 3. They come back home now to play Toronto, see if they can extend it to 4. But let's go ahead and break this thing down. We got Steph, we got Josh, and we about to go ahead and get busy, man. Josh, I'm going to let it come right to you. I'm going to let you jump in there. Go ahead, Josh. Talk about it.
Well, first and foremost, salute Sam, salute the panel, salute the chat. Listen, I'll just say this. Tonight was obviously RJ's coming out party. Tonight was the first game I've seen RJ. They give the ball to RJ so we can run the offense through him, and he actually closed the game. Right. And tonight was the first time I've ever seen that. And, I have to admit, when I was wrong, he's not a role player. He's definitely more than a role player. And if he can give us this consistently every single night, and I'm not talking about production. I'm talking about RJ Barrett being the focal point of the offense. When it's not Randall, they can give the ball to someone else to go tell us to close a game. That's different. That's just a different type of level. And tonight was the first time I've seen RJ Barrett do that. I give him kudos. I'm happy that I'm wrong because, this team is obviously going to need RJ Barrett to take that, to do that on a consistent basis every single night. So I'm glad in this case that I am wrong. And, I got to give credit where credit is due. He balled out tonight. Straight up, no doubt. And he only had 1 turnover, by the way. He was the focal point of the offense. He had 35 points. I think he shot 66% from the field, 75% from three-point range, and he only had 1 turnover as the primary ball handler at the end of the game. So, you can't say anything else about that. I was wrong about him, and if he can continue to do this, every single night, we got a player on our hands now, and I can finally say that.
Okay, all right, Steph.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks won. It wasn't pretty. Like we've been saying, there's some things we need to work on, but we won the game. That's the most important thing. I'm a bit concerned about giving up 117 points to this team without Zion and Brandon Ingram. We'll work on that. I'm happy for RJ. Last year, if you remember, he was someone, even though he scored 20 points, most of his shooting was off the catch. So somebody had to set him up. And if you're really going to be good in this league, you're going to be a number 1, you're going to be a number 2, you have to be able to create your own shot. I saw that a little bit last game, and I saw it even more this game. If he can do this, the Knicks are a different team.
Straight up. And no question.
And so this is what I'm looking for. I didn't really care about his points. Last year, it was like, he scored 20 points. So what? It's off the catch. I mean, that's cool. Yeah. But you need to be able to get your own shot if you're going to be a elite or a very good player in this league. He worked on it in the offseason, and now we're seeing the results of it. Now we can start talking about two-way RJ off the catch, RJ off the dribble, a more developed offensive and defensive player. So I'm hoping that this continues. I don't think he needs to do this every single night. It may not be his night, but he has this in his game now, and I need to continue to see this game in and game out.
Yeah. RJ Barrett tonight, 35 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. He was 12 for 18 from the field. He was 6 for 8 from the three-point line. He was 5 for 6 from the free throw line. And like Josh said, just 1 turnover, and all around great game from RJ. You couldn't ask for anything more from him, and he hopefully this is the start of him feeling comfortable enough and confident enough to say, hey, I got it. I'm going to take over the game. I don't expect him to force it. I don't think that's who he is. He's not that type of guy. But I want him to feel like he can take over the game when it's necessary. And he did that tonight. Part of it, like you're saying, Steph, is his newfound ability. I don't want to say newfound ability, but he worked on it and he's developed the ability to go off the dribble. So you're seeing him now go off the dribble, pull up off the dribble, come off the screen, take one dribble and pull up a three. You're seeing him be able to do those things. Like I was saying in the, before we got on live, I love the way he's catching the ball on his toes and then popping right back up to let it go. And it's it's everything for him right now. It's everything for him. He's last couple of games been playing some really good basketball for us. And I'm going to give it up to Julius Randle. Some people are not. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, take this guy out of the game. He's doing this. He's garbage, blah, 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 blah. He realized that R.J. Barrett had it going, and he played a role. He stepped to the side and said, you got it.
Yeah.
He took 9 shots tonight. He had 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists on 4 of 9 shooting. He was 2 for 2 from the 3-point line. For me, I'm giving him kudos because he could have said, you know what? Let me do it. Let me be the guy. But he didn't. You know what I'm saying? He didn't. He I don't want to say let RJ. He stepped aside so that RJ can do what he does. Steph, what do you think about that? Mute it, Steph.
I have mixed feelings. One, I agree. If another player is hot, you should defer. You should, whoever the hot hand is, that's the person you need to go to. But I think before that, though, I would have liked I'm wondering if Randall was a little more involved in the game, would it have even come to that?
Right.
I just think that he just wasn't there defensively for sure. But even on offense, he just wasn't there. And somebody had to step up, and it was RJ, and he did a great job. But I do think Randall needs to take more than 9 shots in a game. And I'm talking about before RJ got hot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. When he gets hot, of course, you give him the ball. But before that, he just didn't seem to be engaged offensively as far as wanting to score.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I'm wondering, Sam, is he listening to what everybody is saying? Is he, did he look at the game and hearing everybody saying ISO Randall? And so this game, he wanted to do it a little differently. I'm not sure. I think he needs to find that balance. But he has to take shots for us. I just don't believe, and this is just my personal philosophy, I just don't believe in an equal opportunity offense. I just believe your best players need to take the most shots. If they're off, that's a whole different story.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Josh, your thoughts on that? Before I'm gonna open up and get to a couple of phone calls. Actually, no, I'll run down the box score first, then I'll get to some phone calls. But go ahead.
Real quick, I totally agree with Steph. I think Randall just wasn't mentally involved in the game today. Something he just was off about it. His body language kind of, showed that a little bit. And I do agree. There definitely needs to be a little bit of a balance. I felt like Randall didn't get the ball enough. And maybe that's a good thing for Knicks fans because they felt like when he did have it, he was kind of pushing it. But I felt like, with all those turnovers that we kept building a little bit of a lead, and then we'll turn the ball over. We'll kept turning it over, and got the Pelicans back involved. I felt like at that point, Randall should have, got the ball and made something happen with it. So I totally agree with that. And, hopefully this is not a sign of more things to come. Hopefully this is just like a 1-game thing. But if you can have Randall, getting his possessions, we can't have him shoot nine shots a game. I mean, I just can't have our best player shooting that little bit amount of shots per game. So if he can just up that, and then RJ with the performance that he put on, there's no team. It's going to be real tough to beat us in the Eastern Conference. And I'm talking, if we got that other guy next to Randall, that's the step that we can take, and we can start making some noise. So I agree with Steph.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get to the box score real quick, but just for fun, might as well throw some tomatoes at Josh real quick. Just throw
Bring it on. It's okay.
a couple of quick tomatoes at Josh, just because.
But hey,
that RJ
in the pregame, I did say that he was gonna get 30 points. So give me credit for that.
You did. In the pregame, you said you think RJ is gonna get 30. No doubt about it. But we'll throw a couple of tomatoes anyway. And then now we can go ahead and get to the box score, ladies and gentlemen. You see the box score right now. RJ Barrett again had 35 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. Julius Randle, for whatever reason, it wasn't his night tonight. He had 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Mitchell Robinson had 8 points and 5 rebounds. Evan Fournier, 19 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound. He shot 62.5% from the three-point line, shot 42.9% from the field. Kemba Walker, another really, really good night. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals. He shot 54.5% from the field. He shot 57.1% from the three-point line. Taj Gibson had 13 points and 17 rebounds. Alec Burks had 10 points and 3 rebounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in double digits tonight. 6 guys in double digits. The game was a little bit closer than we expected, and some of that was just lazy play from the Knicks, in my opinion. But still, we shot 51.9% from the field. We shot 57.6% from 3. We were 19 for 33. We had 22 assists. Not bad, but 22 assists. We can do better than that. Only 7 turnovers on the night. But guys were making shots. Sometimes it's going to be one-on-one shots that you're making, and you might not get a high number of assists. For the Pelicans, they were led by Valanciunas. He had 27 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists. He shot 66% from the field. He was 33.3% from 3. Behind Valanciunas was Devontae Graham. He had 17 points and 8 assists. Josh Hart had 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. Herbert Jones, he had 12 points and 5 assists. As far as points are concerned, he actually outplayed Randall as far as points are concerned, a guy that I hadn't even heard about. Kieran Lewis, he had 12 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. And you know what? Let me rotate this over so that you got the Pelicans on the board up there so you can see what the Pelicans look like. The Pelicans shot tonight 45.7% from the field. They shot 33.3% from the three-point line. They had 30 assists on the night.
Wow.
Yeah, 30 assists for the Pelicans tonight. What was it tonight, do you think, why the Knicks couldn't just put this game away? Is it something that you think, is a growing problem for this team, that they're unable to put teams away? Or was it just, it's the Pelicans, no Zion, no Brandon Ingram. The last game before we go home, we're going to take it easy. What do you think, Steph?
I can't call it, Sam. I can't call it. We talked about it pregame. I'm sure Tibbs talked about it. I'm sure if you would have asked them before the game, they would have said the same thing to a man. Oh, we can't let down. We got to do this. We got to do that. And then they come out and play the way they did. They started off with some good energy, and it seemed like they were playing on the second game of a back-to-back. So I can't really call it why we're playing like this.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Josh, any thoughts?
I just think we're playing a little bit lazy. We just times in the game where, like, and it's not Randall, because a lot of people were blaming Randall for having the ball in his hands, making the low IQ plays. It's not even him. He didn't touch the ball enough to even make those plays. It's Kemba. It was the Kimbas. It was the Alec Burks. It was, even Fournier, just making boneheaded decisions and allowing the Pelicans to stay in it. I don't think there's anything about them taking the Pelicans lightly. I think in the beginning of the ball game, we, were able to knock out shots down, and it seemed like we were pulling away, but just careless turnovers and then shot selection from Kemba at times, which is poor. So I think it was more of that more than anything. And I think the Knicks will turn it around. You just got to give it a little bit of time. But surprising for our veterans to be doing that. Typically, you would think it'd be someone younger or rookies, whatever the case may be. So we just got to make sure we fix that, because we're not going to win. It's luckily we have so many scorers and RJ turned up, but it's going to be some games where it's just not going to go in our favor. So we got to fix that for sure.
Yeah, we do for sure. Big shout out to CL Kendrick. He said, "Oh my God, another cardiac win, another cardiac Knicks win." So what y'all got to say about the 9 God now, haters? 35 points, 12 for 18 from the field, 6 for 8 from the 3-point line, and with a clutch assist to Taj Gibson. Yeah, that was RJ's stat line tonight. And Flip Mode, thank you for the super chat. He said RJ was smoking that Pelicans pack. Pelicans pack. Bing bong tonight. Yeah, it was a bing bong tonight. Bing bong night tonight for RJ. It definitely was. Let me get to a phone call, because I got some other things I want to talk about as far as the Knicks. Their play and team strategy against the Knicks. And maybe a few things that I seen down the stretch that, or at least one thing I seen down the stretch that, maybe is something to look at. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
What's up? This is Gavin out of Jacksonville, Florida. Salute the chat. What's up, Steph, Josh, Sim?
Salute to you, my brother.
This was a good win. I think, it boosts our confidence a lot that we just keep pulling out close games. I will say, though, that I don't know people who don't play basketball. There is such a thing as called overplaying defense when teams are too worried about rotation. It seems like that's what we do a lot, is we're scrambling trying to find men so bad that we leave a lot of back doors open, and we got burnt by the 3 tonight. I think this was a great game for RJ. This was definitely what he needed. I think it's what we wanted to see as Knicks fans. I have a question for you guys, because I'm a Kentucky basketball fan. So, watching Julius back in 2013, 2014, when he was with Kentucky, he was kind of the man out of that class. Do you think that Julius has a problem not being that guy? It seems like this year from where it was last year, and I know, we have a lot more weapons and a lot more, pieces to the puzzle, but it just seems like mentally he's not there as much as he was last year.
I don't want to say anything like that until we get farther along in the season. And we see how the offense begins to click. If it begins to click more, if it begins to click smoother, better, they understand how to find each other, where to find each other, and all those type of things. Yeah, so I don't want to say that until we get to that point of the season. I don't think that he has a problem sharing and not being a man. He's been that in his career. As a matter of fact, for most of his career in the NBA, he's been a second fiddle guy, right? He went to the Lakers. Kobe was on the Lakers. He wasn't the guy. New Orleans, Anthony Davis was on the team in New Orleans. Davis was hurt, didn't play a lot. And Julius Randle had to take over some of that role. But when Anthony Davis was there, it was his team. So I don't think he has a problem with that at all. I really think a lot of what you see from the Knicks overall is them getting used to each other, and they're winning games while they're getting used to each other. That's just my opinion, my thought process on it.
Yeah, and last two things, I do agree with Steph. It is a little concerning to give up 117 points to the Pelicans without their two best players. And I don't know, it does seem that every game our defense seems, in my opinion, to get a little bit worse as of through these first six. But like we said, we keep grinding out. But the last thing is, I do think that it speaks volumes tonight that for the first time, we saw Deuce McBride check into the game. Even though it was only 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
And I think
you mean 3 seconds.
Or on the box score it says 3 minutes. But and I don't know, but with that and then just watching IQ, it seems like IQ's confidence is going down a little bit because, it seems like now he's playing a little scared because he doesn't want to get pulled by Tibbs. But great win. We keep grinding out, like you guys said. We keep winning. We're first in the Eastern Conference. And, it's great for the state of New York right now. Bing bong, baby.
Yeah, let's get it. No doubt about it. One other thing I want to say about that, what he asked about Julius Randle. I wonder if Julius Randle is thinking a lot too. Because sometimes if you're thinking about where someone might be, you might look like you're disinterested. I don't want to say disinterested. I don't think he looks disinterested, but you may not look, as smooth as you normally would or as natural as you normally would because you're thinking about some things on the court. Where's this guy going to be? How am I going to find this guy or that guy? I don't know. It's just a thought. But we, we'll find out as we move forward. I see some comments in the chat about Emmanuel Quickley. And, I think the same thing for Emmanuel Quickley. He is struggling a little bit. I think he also has to get used to not being, one of your primary scorers on the team. Because last year, I don't want to say he was a primary scorer, but he was really, his scoring and his ability to light it up quickly, no pun intended, was necessary. It's different this year. Sometimes he would play with the starters, right? It's a little bit different this year. So he probably has to get used to that role as well. So there's a lot of guys that got to get used to some things on this team here.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed down the stretch, and maybe it's just coincidence, but, the last 2-3 minutes of the game, when it seemed apparent that the Pelicans would be fouling, you notice that Julius Randle was taking the ball out of bounds. He was getting the ball out of the net and going out of bounds, passing it into RJ or Kemba, which allowed them to get fouled and go to the free throw line. Do you think that was by design? Because, Randle maybe gets a little shaky at the line in crunch time. We still missed a couple of free throws.
Right.
But do you think that was by design or it just happened to flow that way? What do you think, Steph?
Maybe he knew he wasn't in the game. Maybe he knew that, and that's why he knew they were fouling, and he didn't want them to foul him. I'm hoping, and I don't think this is the case, but I'm hoping that him missing those 2 free throws last game don't have him shook. I doubt it though. But I just think he just wasn't in the game, and just wanted somebody else to shoot it down the stretch.
Okay. I hope so. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I don't think it had anything to do specifically with him being, shook about the in the clutch and shooting free throws. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I just think that he was just really not mentally there tonight. Just very, very passive, just kind of like, I don't want to say nonchalant, but he just really didn't seem into it as we usually accustomed to see Julius Randle. So I think it was mostly that rather than him being scared of the moment or something like that. I don't think it's to that nature.
Well, I'm not saying scared of the moment, right? Not scared of the moment, but if it's something that they discussed, coach the player or whatever, and said, hey, I want you when we get into crunch time, I want you to take the ball out of bounds and, get it to the guards, because in this situation, I think they're a little bit stronger shooting free throws. You know what I mean? I mean, coaches have those type of conversations with players all the time.
Well, Sam, you also got to look at the fact that, the Knicks inbound passes in late games has not been that good either.
True.
Like in the last game, Alec Burks was absolutely atrocious inbounding the ball into players at the end of the game. So I think it could have been a little bit of that. Tibbs not really trusting anyone else to inbound the ball, and still, wanting to have someone to get to the free throw line to make those shots. I think it's a combination of all of that rather than the coach talking to Randall saying, I don't want you shooting those free throws, or I'd rather have someone else doing it. I don't think it's that.
And it could work, well for both things to happen. That Randall's taking it out of bounds, so you get the ball to Kemba or Fournier. I'll say Kemba or Fournier. RJ made his free throws tonight. I'm not sure if RJ is, that strong of a free throw shooter yet. But he knocked him down tonight. He knocked down everything tonight. He knocked him down tonight. Stabby, what's popping with you, bro? How you feeling?
Oh. How am I feeling? I think you know how I'm feeling. I just want to say salute to the show, salute to the chat and panel. I was in the chat having some fun with Josh, but it's all love always. You know what I mean? And you did call the 30-point game. I don't know how you called it. I thought we was going to have a nice, easy night of basketball against the Pelicans tonight, but we still had a little bit of cardiac Knicks residue. I'm just glad that we pulled the win out, and I'm not worried about Randall. I think that even after the post game I saw recently, I think that he's been going over in his mind, why do I keep on having this issue rise up where big moments kind of get to him? Mm-hmm. And I always viewed, especially since the Slam magazine cover and prior, I've always viewed him and RJ as having this sort of symbiosis, this brotherhood where it's like, I got you, you got me. You know what I mean? When one of them is not going to be hitting for us, the other one probably will be, right? And the reason why I'm not surprised at what RJ did tonight and I never had concern about him is because I've always looked at his mentality about the game. And he's always been a very patient guy with himself and with his development, and he accepts every challenge. I think Randall, especially going through the journey that he's been going through, has sort of a different style of chip on his shoulder where he's more disappointed in himself when he can't do things for us, whereas RJ allows himself the leeway to make mistakes and learn and get better and be like, next time this isn't going to happen again, right? And I think a similar mindset needs to take hold over the rest of the team, especially with the young guys. Like IQ, he's having a hard one right now. He's not getting the offensive assignment off the bench that he was getting last season. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have as much of a runway to get hot as he had last year either. So he needs to find a way to not only break out of a sophomore slump, but also adjust to other defenses, having him figured out from his first hot year, and also being able to be more efficient with the minutes he does get. So he has 3 challenges, really, that he's got to tackle all at once. And that young man, I believe that he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I fully believe that he can do it. RJ's he's just motivated. He's just motivated to be the best player that he can be. I do want to respond to somebody in the chat. I think it's Glizzard.
Glizzard. Whoa.
Yeah, he said, I barely hear any positive-ish in here, I swear. I disagree, Glizzard. I disagree with you big time. I think we are very positive about this team. As a matter of fact, we've had people predict that the Knicks were going to win the World Championship, the NBA Championship this season.
And I had us finishing third.
Yes, I remember that. I was watching those preseason shows.
Yeah, I have a finishing third.
Shout out to the Queen's Court, lovely show. Okay,
Appreciate you.
we have a fantastic network of shows, and let me tell you something, Blizzard. Okay, if you want this campy take show, you're coming to the wrong channel. We do analysis. We do analytics.
Analyze.
Right.
Okay, that's why this was the show to watch, especially when the Knicks were horrible.
Horrible.
Because we had educated takes on exactly what we needed to do to get to right now.
Right now. And this is what we're talking about, man.
Right.
So
How about some pom-poms? Maybe that'll help people.
Listen,
Pom-poms for the next show.
We love the Knicks, man. We love the Knicks, Blizzard. Trust us. We love the New York Knicks. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I mean, you can't be realistic and just sit there and say, hey, the Knicks won. Hoorah, they did everything perfect, because they didn't. We want to win the next game. So let's talk about how we're going to win the next game and the things that we need to do to win that next game, things that we got to fix. Let me get to a caller real quick. Caller, you're live. What's popping? Tell me your name and where you're from.
Hey, True Blood, man, originally from Brooklyn, New York. So good evening, panel. Nothing but Knicks. I've been following you guys for a while. The one thing I would say is that the panel, you guys did make some really good points this evening. But I would say this also, is that, and I know that you guys are supporting the team, and you've the one thing that I want to really point out, though, is that when we do win, right, if this was flipped and we lost by a few points, they turned it around. So we got to give them credit. And I think that they're still figuring it out. We're 5-1. That's only 6 games by my calculation.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be a long season.
Yeah.
And I think that, these guys are going to figure it out. IQ, not worried about him, because he's going to figure it out. Obi, we've seen that when some people step up, some others have some off nights, but they find a collective way to win.
Right.
And I think that's overall what we want. And I think, the analysis is correct. I think I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm having a heart attack. These guys should have been up by 20, 25. They get back in the game, but they still figure it out. They weren't doing this before.
Right.
So they turned this around. So I'm very proud of this team. I'm an old school dude, like Crooklyn, straight. You know what I mean? So I've been around since Walt Frazier and them dudes when they won the world championship. But I'll tell you this, man, this is a different complexion, but when we play better teams, we do need to cut down on the mistakes. So that's pretty much it. But you guys are doing a great job, and I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Appreciate you, man.
Salute,
Have a good one.
salute.
Now, we talk about, the Knicks making, some errors. We still only had 12 turnovers tonight. Some of the errors, probably shot selection. I think the biggest error really is, and it's fighting against human nature, not having Ingram and Zion and coming into the game, and you got that tendency to relax. I'm watching to see if it's a trend, though. That's what I'm watching to see if it's a trend, that it's going to happen frequently. I'm positive that Tom Thibodeau is going to address it and say, hey, we got to really start putting these teams away and, taking it from 12, 13-point lead to 20, or from 27 to 37. You know what I mean? But as the last caller just said, no matter what happens, we're figuring out ways to get wins. And that characteristic right there, figuring out ways to get wins no matter what, I think that's a sign of a really good team.
Yeah.
We have mistakes. We're not perfect. But figuring out ways to get wins no matter what happens in the game, to me, is a sign of a team that's good. And then as you get to the point in the season where you're putting these teams away, you get even better. Honestly, when you look at this team, everybody stays healthy. There's a they could They could. I don't want to. They could be some. They could do something special, maybe. If they can figure out a way to put everything together.
There's no maybe about that.
Even if it's going deep in the playoffs, you know what I mean? Like, they could. If they could figure out how to just put everything together, and at some point in the season, everything is going to really be clicking. And I think you're gonna see the ball really pop, 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 pop. The defense is gonna be clicking. They're gonna always make mistakes, but I'm looking forward to that right there. Let me get to the phone call. Call you live. Kareem, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
I'm doing well. So how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. What's your take on tonight's game?
Great win, man. I can't, of course, I was replying in the chat or writing in the chat rather, with this dude Randall. He was kind of, making me upset, with, not playing defense. I know it seems like his recent performances has been getting to him, but I believe, like, I look at it like this. We are actually a team that's trying to figure it out, but we're still pulling out wins. Imagine if we were one of those teams trying to figure it out. We 0-6.
Right.
So, and I do want to see our assists per game go up a little bit. Like, the ball is sticking too much. We need to move the ball around like we did, during the preseason for those 2 or 3 games. That, we had that foreign ball movement, and, like we said, 82-game season, we'll be fine, man.
Oh, yeah. We are going to be fine. We're going to be really fine. What did you think? What did you think about Randall and his performance tonight?
Like I said, he's frustrated, and you can see it. But what I notice about him is when he goes through his little streaks of struggle, it's really like, for example, you see with him, he'll get the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of making a highly efficient shot, he'll have an open shot. He'll put the ball on the floor and over dribble. So he just seems like the type of player that gets in his own head at times, and he overcomplicates the game for himself. Like, dude, he can shoot. Like, you see his stroke, but it's like every time he gets that ball, man, he starts dribbling into the defense, dribbling into double teams, and he just needs to, go back to simplifying the game for himself and not overcomplicating things.
Okay. Maybe that baby's keeping him up at night. I mean, obviously he's on the road right now. Maybe the baby been keeping him up at night. Who knows? Who knows?
Mm-hmm. But man,
don't say that. You know how Knicks fans are.
Arthur, man, he's looking good, man.
Yeah, he's looking real good. To stay on the topic of RJ and Mitch had really good chemistry in the first half.
Yes, they did.
Right? RJ found him on a couple of alley-oops. And I think more people are beginning to look for Mitch as, time goes on and they get used to each other. Fournier's looked for Mitch a few times. RJ's been looking for Mitch. And both of those guys are now looking for Mitch. Mm-hmm. Right? That's going to open things up a little bit more. Mitch stayed off the floor tonight. I'm glad about that. Right? He stayed off the floor tonight. But I'm hoping that we can see just more guys develop a basketball relationship with Mitchell Robinson on the floor, so that we can utilize, that alley-oop a little bit more. Listen, I want to see him get deep in the paint like he did that one time when Evan Fournier found him. Because when he does get deep in the paint, all he has to do is turn around and go up.
Yeah.
I want to see us utilize that a little bit more.
Uh-huh. Yeah, especially when the shot is not dropping from 3. Like, you definitely got to, because, like, I don't know if it was Josh, a few shows back, where, he basically pointed out when getting into the paint, opens up that 3-point shot for you. I think it's much harder to shoot a 3-pointer when you just come half court and then start chucking, or just, having to just move the ball, on the perimeter rather than somebody, drawing the defense in and then passing out.
Right.
You tend to get more open shots. And one more thing too, Sam, man. I don't know if you've been seeing this, but on certain plays, you'll have the guard, they'll send Mitchell on a high screen, right? Or a guard will penetrate and Mitchell Robinson will run or move into their lane and they have to bring the ball back out. We need to have him moving out on those plays because it's really hurting our penetration at times.
And, some of that, I agree. I agree with you 100%. I think some of that can be, just figuring out, okay, when Kemba comes off, he's going to do this or do that. And Kemba figuring out when Mitch, is he going to slip the screen? What's he doing when he rolls off the screen? Figuring out those little nuances. I seen Kemba go all the way to the cup today. I was glad, right?
Yeah, you're right, because it's not intentional. It's just you can see it. Mitchell Robinson really has no other place to go. And you see it like, damn, I just came in the lane, but I really have nowhere else to go. But
so would you have him pop anyway, even though he may not pull that shot? Would you have him pop anyway?
No, I wouldn't even have him pop. He's just preventing the guard from getting to the cup at times when he does that. He's blocking their lane to the basket. Right, because he's going to the basket no matter what, because he doesn't pull a mid-range jump shot. Yeah. So if you're Tibbs, would you tell him on some plays, go ahead and pop, read what the guard is doing. If it looks like the guard might go, pop, you know what I mean? And so that way, even if he pops, they might kick it out to him, and he may not pull a jump shot, but if you kick it out to him, then you might have the guard or forward who's in the corner, come off and Mitch can hand it off to him. You know what I mean? And then he can roll to the basket from that handoff. Going, baseline, backdoor. I agree with that. And we've seen that happen before, too. Yeah. They get easy buckets like that. I agree with that.
Right. All the time. Kareem, I appreciate your call, man.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate you. Shout out to the panel. Shout out to you, son.
Shout out.
No doubt. Peace. Let me ask y'all this. Why does Tom Thibodeau do this? Why does he put a player in for 3 seconds?
Yeah, is he trying to save somebody from getting a foul or something? Like, what is that?
I mean, but I think the Pelicans were on the free throw line. And he brought McBride in for 3 seconds. And at that moment, I put in our panel chat on Twitter, I said, Tibbs better not put McBride in for 3 seconds, and that's it. And as soon as they came back to the game, I looked on the floor, and McBride was back on the bench. I don't understand it. What is the purpose of that?
Sam, I think the Knicks were at the free throw line, and the Pelicans had to go full court. So I guess having McBride out there was just for a defensive possession or whatever the case may be. But the Pelicans weren't at the free throw line. We were.
Okay, well, somebody was at the line, yeah. Maybe it was us. But I don't understand. I don't know. I mean, in that 3 seconds, why not just let him, put him in there for 3 seconds, give him a minute at the top of the quarter or something like that. Give him a minute and 30 seconds, something. I mean, McBride's not going to say anything. He's a good kid. He's going to, he's going to follow his marching orders until it's his time to get on the floor. But I know if it was me, I'm like, hey, coach, you're just going to put me out there for 3 seconds? All I got a chance to do is step on the floor. I didn't break a sweat. My sneakers ain't dirty. You know what I'm saying? I barely got any black dust on the bottom of my shoe. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, man. And you know what surprises me? Like, you would think that he would get at least a possession or two, being that, he's a Tibbs type of player. He has a lot of defensive energy. Right. Like, one of the things that bothers me to see is, like, people just getting frozen on their feet on the court out there. but that's never been Deuce's problem, at least from what we've seen of him.
Right.
So you would think that he would get sunburn for at least if we're up like 15 points, give him a possession or two, see if he's able to keep up with the opposing guard. But I think it was a foul maintenance type of thing.
I guess so. Yeah, a foul, just put him out there, let somebody get a couple extra minutes of rest as it was going to the end of the quarter, I guess.
Can I ask a question? I think Emmanuel quickly has around 12 to 14 minutes per game. I think that's what he's averaging right now.
Mm-hmm.
Would anybody here on this panel right now want to see either Grimes or McBride take some of those minutes, if not all of them?
Grimes.
Yeah,
I would like to see.
It would be Grimes for me.
Well,
it would be Grimes for me.
Because Grimes to me can give us more instant offense than Deuce can, but I would like to see some more defensive injections in our bench rotation. So I would like to see McBride get some of those minutes, because one thing that I know is that if we don't put Grimes in, we still have a few offensive options out there to go to.
Right.
But if we need a quick injection of defense, that's right up McBride's alley.
Grimes can play defense.
Grimes is a good defensive player.
Yeah,
too.
Grimes is a good defender too.
I'm not saying he's not, but I just like the level of energy that McBride provides. The kid is never sitting still on the court, man. Like, you gotta love that. I do.
I get it.
And I think it's a beautiful thing. And he moves very well laterally. You know what I mean? And so I think being that our first set on the court can give us so much offense, right? I think that being that he specializes in, at least from what I can draw from his game in defense, I would just like to see McBride get out there. And also, I like his name. Put Deuce on the court.
I think that Grimes fits next to Rose and Alec Burks better. Right? Me, I'm one person that, I'm okay with Alec Burks, but I'm not crazy about his game. I feel like he's, a ball stopper. It doesn't always, get the ball to the right spot at the right time, whatever it is. But Rose, he's ball dominant, can be ball dominant. He's going to attack. Alec Burks, he's going to look to get his. I feel like Grimes fits perfectly next to those two guys because he's a spot up shooter right now. You know what I mean? He can play defense and he can spot up. So you can have Rose at the point guard, Grimes at the shooting guard, Burks at the three, and Grimes I feel like can fit right in there. And he's a little bit taller, a little bit bigger. Obviously, it's going to depend on who you're playing as well. I don't think we're going to see either one of those guys yet. I think Tibbs is going to give Emmanuel quickly every chance to get on track, which I think is the right thing to do as well. Give him his chance to get on track. And then if he doesn't, then of course you got to do what you got to do. But as long as the Knicks are winning basketball games, I think he'll continue to give Emmanuel quickly the look. Give him a chance to recover. Listen, the kid can shoot. There's no doubt about it. And I think he'll come around. Right now, he's not shooting well. Right? Shooting a very low percentage, but I think he'll come around and start knocking down some shots at some point.
Yeah, because IQ is still the same guy that was all rookie second team last year, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this. I agree with you about Burks' game, but man, it's beautiful to watch when he's hitting.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to watch when he's hitting. When he's really putting them in the hoop. Mm-hmm. Oh man, it's just beautiful to see. But I would like if Grimes could get some of that minute share whenever Burks can't do something for us, just to give Grimes some more burn, because I do think he's a great spot up shooter, right? And I think only in a scenario where we couldn't play, like let's say, God forbid this happens, if we cannot put Kemba Walker back in. Let's say it's not an injury. Let's say it's a foul thing, right? And we need to rest Derek. Then we could bring in McBride, and then we could just do a situation like that where he can be our contingency going down the line, and not have to, not have to replace somebody necessarily.
Right. Okay. And you know what? And maybe in that situation, and it wasn't for IQ, but maybe in that situation, taking and putting McBride in for 3 seconds just kind of sends a message to IQ like, this guy's in the wings. You know what I mean? You better get it together. This guy's waiting in the wings. And you see, I put him on the court. Next time it might be for 10 seconds and then 25 seconds and then a minute. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that works out.
Anybody could get touched type stuff.
Right. Taking a gander around the league right now, Golden State's blowing out OKC 102-71. Minnesota is up over Denver 61-59. Phoenix is losing to Cleveland. Cleveland, they're a competitive team. They're young and they're very competitive. Right now they're up 37-26 over Phoenix. Washington beat Boston 115-112. Washington continues their winning ways. They're 5-1 on the season. Detroit, Cade Cunningham played for the first time tonight. Detroit beat Orlando 110-103. Cade Cunningham tonight had, let's see if I can find it. He had 2 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, played 18 minutes. That was Cade Cunningham tonight. Toronto, they beat Indiana 97-94. And Philadelphia, and I can't see it. I got something in the way. Philadelphia and Atlanta. Who won in that game? Philadelphia?
Yeah, 122-94.
122-94. The Bulls beat Utah. Oh, go ahead. What'd you say? What'd you say, Josh?
I said that 30 piece.
Oh, yeah.
Beat him by 30. Almost.
The Bulls beat Utah 107-99. Miami Heat beat the Memphis Grizzlies 129-103. And the San Antonio Spurs beat the Milwaukee Bucks 102-93.
Yeah. The Bulls have one win. The Knicks, the Heat, it's gonna be a dogfight in that Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Right now,
Washington.
It's a 4-way tie in first place. The Knicks, they're in first place, but there's a 4-way tie. The Knicks, the Bulls, the Wizards, and the Heat are all 5-1.
Wow.
Yep. The Charlotte Hornets are 4-2. Philadelphia's 4-2. Toronto's 4-3. Milwaukee's 3-3. Cleveland's 3-3. Brooklyn's 3-3. The Hawks are 3-3. Yep. So
Boston sucks.
It's going to be competitive in the Eastern Conference. Very competitive in the Eastern Conference. It's exciting that the Knicks, we're not looking at the Eastern Conference and saying, wow, they're going to be competitive, but the Knicks are 14th. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
Speaking of the Eastern Conference, do you know what team I can't wait to play right now? The Miami Heat. I cannot wait to see what we do against the Miami Heat. On the West Coast, I want to play Golden State. But in the Eastern Conference, I want to see what we do against the Miami Heat, because I think by the time we match them up, they're going to have Oladipo back. They got Lowry in effect. I want to see RJ and Jimmy Butler bump heads again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I just think that's going to be a beautiful thing to watch play out, because last year they were the bane of our existence. In my opinion, they stole 2 games from us that we should have had. That's just how I feel. One of those losses was like, okay. But we really needed those 2 wins for me to feel right, because I live down here and all I hear is about, oh my God, the Heat, they're so great, whatever. They got all these signings because of Pat Riley and they got no cap space, but they still are in it. And I'm like, okay. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Listen, they beat us every time we played them last year. The Knicks are going to be up for it this year.
They had one
Knicks gonna be
legit,
ready.
okay, we smacked you win last year. 2 of those were stolen. We gave those leads up.
Yeah, no
I
doubt
want to
about
see
it.
what happened this time.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be, whenever we play them, I don't know when it is, it's going to be a tough, competitive game. It's going to be a battle. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah,
But we got
I think they're number one in defense or right up there.
Miami.
1 or 2. Yeah.
Jimmy Butler might be leading the league in steals right now.
It's not a surprise.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
They run that trap to perfection. I think that's what won the game. Had them beat us last year. We couldn't get past the trap that they were doing. Now with more ball handlers, hopefully let's see if we're able to break it. But last season it was just very hard to score on them or do anything because of what they were doing defensively.
And they play some good zone.
Yeah, and Tyler Hero's been hot. Tyler Hero's been going off in games, and I think he went 7 the same year RJ got drafted, right?
14, I think.
14, right? Yeah,
I
okay.
think it was 14.
It was either 14 or 7. It was some kind of a multiple of 7, right? And and all my friends down here are raving about this kid, and I'm telling them, yo, RJ.
Yeah.
RJ
Right now, the Miami Heat have a 93.6 defensive rating. That's number 1 in the league.
Wow.
Yeah. 93.6 defensive rating.
Let's see what Fournier got to say about that one.
That's tough.
Wow.
The New York Knicks, on the other hand, right now are 20th in the league in defensive rating at 108.
But Sam, you know what? That's about what we gave up last year. It's just that same number had us in 4th place.
Right.
And this year has us in 20? Because the rest of the teams, at least early in the season, are picking up their defense.
Yeah. And there's always other things as well because the Knicks are 5th in the league in opponents' shooting percentage, right? So the Knicks allow opponents to shoot 42.3% from the field. Okay, so, and then even in 3-point shooting percentage, the Knicks are only allowing teams to shoot 33.7% from the 3-point line.
Defensive rating is every 100 possessions, right? Is that what that is?
Yeah, to try to even it out for those whose pace, just to make sure it's even when you're comparing teams. Yeah.
Okay, so that double overtime game wouldn't really have that much of an effect on the defensive rating.
Mm-mm.
But the opponent's points per game, that will have something against. Okay,
right.
I got it.
Right. So when you look at the field goal percentage that teams are shooting against the Knicks, I think that's a key indicator of your defense.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the points because there could be a lot more possessions in the game. And so, a team scores more points because they have more possessions and those type of things. Last year, part of the Knicks defense was that they played at a slower pace, forced other teams to play at a slower pace, and maybe their points were a little bit lower as well. Now the Knicks did keep teams to shooting a low percentage last year too. But this year, they're giving up more points, but they're still holding teams to, low shooting percentages, which I think is an indication still of a good defense.
It's going to be a sore fight for sure. I can't wait to see that. I just hope that we are firing on all pistons offensively that matchup because we're going to need it. We're going to need everybody we got on deck.
Right. Any thoughts about the Toronto game on Monday? Of course, we're going to do a pregame show or a game preview, but any just quick thoughts about that game on Monday, Josh?
Scotty Barnes, I predicted beginning of the season, I think Scotty Barnes is going to lead that team in scoring by season's end, and Scotty Barnes is playing really, really well to be a rookie. So I think that's someone that we really gotta worry about defending, and that's going to be another test for RJ. So I guess we'll see about that. I think we'll win the game, but again, that's what I'm looking for in that particular game.
Yeah. Carl, I'm going to get to you in just a second. Steph, any thoughts about Monday's game?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can't take anybody for granted. Just looking at Orlando and looking at this Pelicans game, it's not just Scotty Barnes, it's Anobi as well. So I'm not sure who RJ is going to guard. Van Vliet, Gary Trent Jr. So they have players that can play. So I agree with Josh. We can definitely win this game, but we can't take them for granted.
Right. Savvy?
Man, they got Goran in the off season. I'm curious as to how they're gonna play. I mean, I haven't seen them play any games this season, but like was just said, Scotty Barnes is gonna be a test. I'm always worried about Gary Trent Jr. going off and just having one of those games where he just can't seem to miss.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then they still got Van Vliet, who a lot of people was hoping would come and be a Knick, during the offseason there for a while. And I think it's going to be a coaching display. Nick Nurse is not anything to play with when it comes to adjustments. That much is for sure. So I'm just, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see how we match up against them and a few other teams, just because of the off-season moves each team has made.
Right.
When we did that to the Bulls, it felt good. It felt really good. But I think there's a couple other teams that have made just small key adjustments that might spell an unpredictable outcome for us, and I want to see how that plays out. I think Toronto's one of those teams.
Okay. All right. Let me get to the caller that's on the line. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from. Hello, caller, you there?
Oh yes, hello. How you doing?
All right. How you feeling, my man? Talk to me. What you feeling about this game?
I'm good, man. I just came to talk something real quick, talk real nasty real quick. And Josh, I respect you because you actually showed up after all this bogus stuff you were talking about RJ. But where's Bubba, Verizon Whopper, and Nick? You're talking about RJ all season, and they ain't even show up after RJ put in that work. And I also want to warn the Knicks fans of something, because we tend to do this all the time. Every time things are not going perfect, we always pick on one player. And let me let you guys know, stop picking on Julius, because if it wasn't for Julius, even with the numbers he is putting up, we wouldn't be 5-1 right now. We probably have a bad record right now. He's the hardest on this team, no matter what numbers he's putting up. So, with that being said, leave Julius alone. He's going to come into his own and everything. But I respect you, Josh. You showed up after all the trash you've been talking about Ajar. But Bubba and Nick, I don't want to hear nothing from no more. Talk about RJ. Don't even mention RJ name. RJ is a young GOAT, man. I give it 3 more years. He's going to be the face of this team. It is what it is. And people just got to give him time to marinate. Shout out to you, Sim. Shout out to Stephanie. Always got the good vibes. Missing Andy today. And I just want to, say good night. God bless. Take care. And leave my boy RJ alone. Don't talk about him no more, Josh. Don't talk about him no more, man.
Hey, I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you, bro.
If he keep playing like this, then I will have nothing to talk about. I'll be giving him praise. But to be fair, what he did tonight, he was never doing that before. The Knicks never ran the offense through him. Tonight is the first time we've seen that, and he actually closed the game. So, right. I mean, listen, I get it. I was rough on him. I was hard on him. But to be fair, this is what I've been wanting to see from the beginning, from the get-go. Not necessarily 35 points. Like, I'm not talking about the production. I'm talking about the way it happened. Them giving him the ball and say, RJ, we need you to score. And he did that tonight. So, I understand Knicks fans were frustrated. I was frustrated with it too. But listen, if I'm wrong and it makes y'all happy to me to come on here and say that I'm wrong, I have no problem with that. The Knicks won and we're 5-1.
Well, I think it was about, Josh. I think it was about, people were like, hey, Josh, you got to get a kid a chance to let it happen, to grow and develop a little bit. I think it was more about that. Last year was only his second season.
I understand that.
Right. So again, I think people were like, yo, let the kid grow.
But the difference was, Tim, the people that were saying that were also saying that RJ Barrett was going to be an all-star. last season. They were also saying that RJ Barrett was in the same conversation as the Kobe Bryants and the Jason Tatums of the world, and all of that. So what I was saying was, okay, live up to that expectation. If he's that kind of player, then go ahead and do it.
I mean, but it
now,
wasn't all Knicks fans saying that. There's a couple people. It's not all Knicks fans. I think most people understand that he's got to grow and develop, and you was ready to move him for Russell Westbrook.
If he was available, I wasn't actively shopping.
You was trying to move him for Russ. You know what I mean?
I'll say this. RJ Barrett right now with this game tonight, he's still no Russell Westbrook and he's still no Ben Simmons. Okay,
but he fits this team. But he fits this team better than both of those guys.
Because he shoots better than Westbrook.
Let me get to the phone call. But I still think he fits this team better than those guys. And yeah, I think he does. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you from.
Tony Crow from the Bronx. Your Blackest Time.
Tony, what's going on with your brother? How you feeling, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I had to watch from work and stop my production at work, but it was definitely worth it. I called to speak to Josh. I called to speak to the Queen. The Queen's there because I'm not watching.
I'm here.
She said.
All right. Let me start with Josh. I'm not gonna go at you, Josh, but Sim just hit the nail on the head. I heard the tail end of what you were saying about RJ, and then I heard Sim's response, and Sim is 100% right. All we were saying is you got to give this kid a chance to develop into who he's gonna be. If you look at RJ's numbers first 2 years, you look at Tatum's numbers first 2 years, they're almost identical. Tatum had more responsibility though. RJ never really had that responsibility. Right. Tonight he did, but we don't need him to do it every night. And I know you're happy for him. I know you're proud of him because this is what you've been looking for, Josh. He's capable, more than capable, but it's gonna. We don't need it every night, He's gonna have to do it when we need it, and then give him another year, maybe 2 more years, and then that could be his production night in and night out. But right now, this team is just so deep, and now I'm gonna go to the Queen, and this is what I was trying to say. Guys can struggle, but other guys are gonna have to step up, and we can still beat teams. Now, granted, this was the Pelicans,
right?
But that's what I was trying to say. I think 2 guys can struggle on the squad. Maybe not for a complete series, but game by game. Guys can struggle, but we have enough weapons and enough firepower that other guys can step up and we can beat teams.
But I agree with you on that. I just don't think we can win a series if Randall struggles throughout a series. But I do agree for a game or a couple of games, I agree. We have enough for that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm on the road. I just figured I was like, I hope I could get through because I had to at least let you guys hear my voice and my excitement. And MBK fan, we here. New York, we here. Your Blackest Time, Sim. I appreciate you. I'll catch you on the next one Monday. I got a long weekend this weekend, but love you guys, man.
I appreciate you,
Knicks.
brother. Right. Be safe out there. Let me get you another phone call here. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you from.
What's going on, Sam? Steve from Queens.
What's going on, Steve? How you feeling?
Everything good. Yeah, I just wanted to say, man, I love what the Knicks is doing. I love everything. I love our record, 5-1. But I just feel like Tibbs, he's teaching everything except all gas, no brakes, man. I feel like the guys, they pump the brakes a little bit, and it causes teams that shouldn't get back into the game to get right back into the game, and I'm not feeling that. I was taught that in high school when I was balling because I remember the coach used to always preach all gas, no brakes. I played football, so I remember he used to tell me, like, yo, I don't care if your mother's in the end zone. You run through your mother to get that touchdown. So it was like he just taught us to never take our foot off the gas on a team. Just like the other day when Russell Westbrook, he got upset when the player, he went for the dunk with like 10 seconds left in the game or whatever it was.
Right.
I don't see nothing wrong with that. I don't understand this unwritten rule in the NBA where you got to take your foot off the gas if a team is down 30 and you can't score with 20 seconds left. You got to pull it back. I don't get that. I just feel like Tibbs needs to teach these guys to just keep their foot on the gas for the entire game and don't take their foot off.
Right. Nah, I agree with you because, that could be part of the reason why you see teams start to come back, right? Because the next thing, maybe they start to relax a little bit.
Right.
And then teams start coming back, right? Teams start pushing on the gas, while we hitting the
I remember
brake.
you mentioned you a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
You coach Pee Wee?
I coach high school.
High school? Sorry about that. Sorry, brother. Well, how do you teach your players? You teach them to relax or take it easy if the team is down 50 to take their foot off the gas, or do you teach them to just keep going all the way?
So what I teach is to keep going, keep playing. But what I do is I use this as a time to say, okay, this is like an extended practice for us. We're going to get into our offense, but we're still looking to score the basketball. But we're really going to try to, figure out some things. And, maybe we have an area where we're kind of weak. So we might focus on that area a little bit in the midst of the basketball game because we know that team is playing hard. One thing I don't try to do is you see teams that they're up 8-9 points and then, they sit back and try to pass the ball and waste out the clock. I'm like, no, we're going to go score the basketball. We're going to find a good shot and go score the ball and then come back and play defense.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
I'm still pushing and encouraging us to go score the basketball. I just may be trying to teach a little something in between that time.
Man, I feel you. But I just feel like if you got your foot on their necks, you got to keep it there till that buzzer go off.
No, I hear
the
you.
NBA, everybody make runs, everybody tries to come back, but if you got your foot on the neck, you need to keep it there till that buzzer, till that final buzzer.
No, listen, I hear you because, trust me, I've been beat by 40 and 50 points before, and none of those teams care. None of them teams
That's
care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, we coming to get this, especially when you're playing in a tournament that's based on point differential. They trying to run up the score. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, y'all. All right.
Hey,
Peace,
I appreciate you, man.
Love the show, man. Love what y'all doing.
Thank you.
Peace.
Appreciate it, Steve. Yeah, I get what he's saying. It sometimes it goes, and Tom Thibodeau talks about it all the time, just goes beyond just that human nature, right? When things are easier or you got a lead, you tend to relax and rest a little bit. And it's just the nature of a person to do that. And you got to fight against it. But as we've been saying,
so that
they're finding ways to win regardless. So,
right. Real quick, Sim, I just want, because of what that caller said, that begs a question that I wanted to ask. And when you're talking about this all gas, no brakes mentality, right? It's easy to conflate that with, hey, keep on scoring and running them down and keep on doing what you're doing that got us in this league. But what I think I'm seeing on the court, and maybe you can confirm this, is we don't shift gears well. We'll be doing one thing well. We'll have one scheme and it's rolling and it's working. They'll adjust. We need to adjust to stay out ahead of them, right?
right.
And thereby we'll begin to slip and make mistakes. And I think game maintenance is something that I would like to see us get better at down the stretch, taking care of the ball, not taking passes for granted, right? Not making passes across people's running path, right? Being aware of where the opponent is when we have the ball, and just avoiding turnovers, keeping our rebound integrity, and making sure that if we're not hitting shots, we're at least getting stops on the other end.
Yeah.
How can we maintain games better?
I think it's going to come. I think it's going to come when Kemba and Fournier understand better what Tibbs wants on the floor. It takes a little while to understand everything that your coach wants. And to be honest with you, even Randall and RJ, they were with him last year, but that's just one season.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they're still learning some things about Tibbs too. And Tibbs is still learning some things about them. You know, the more games you get into, the higher the stakes. You learn more about your players and you learn more about your coach. You know what I mean? So this is just not even a season and a half with Coach Tibbs. And last season wasn't even a full season, right? So they're all still learning about each other.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, all still learning. Big shout out to Fat Boy with Kicks. Thank you for the super chat. He said, I told you, Sim, cancel Josh's show called The Controversy. Put him and Nate on a show, and instead of First Take, call it Bad Takes.
Come on.
That's a good joke, though. It's a good joke. It's a good joke.
Yo, I like that nickname you gave Nate. No Take Nate.
He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it. I cooled off on it today. I didn't say it today. I cooled off on it today.
It's just funny.
I know.
Because he does have takes, you know.
He does.
I like Nate's commentary, and I like the controversy. That's a good show.
Yeah.
Let me just say something. Fat Boy with Kicks. Listen, you talking all that through a super chat. You can come on and debate me anytime, and I'll wax your behind anytime, any place. Okay.
Listen, if you want to debate Josh, I don't have the link to the whatchamacallit with me right now. If you want to debate Josh on the controversy, I'm putting my email in the chat right now. Send me an email, and we can get you lined up to debate Josh on the controversy. We'll figure out what the topic is. Send me an email right now, so you can debate Josh on the controversy. He's ready.
And I just want to say for everybody who thinks I have bad takes or you don't agree with my takes, listen, people thought I was going to run away from this RJ topic. I'm not running. I'm standing right here, and I'm telling you that I was wrong about the kid. And, we've seen him, actually take that next step tonight. Tonight was the game. And tomorrow, right before the football games come on, I'm going to do an episode of The Controversy to address that very, very topic. So I'm not running anywhere, so you'll see me.
But let's say this, though. It's one game or two games. I don't think anybody was, well, I don't know about you, Josh. But for me, I was just saying, let his game continue to develop and grow. People had him in the Hall of Fame already because he was scoring 20 points a game. But
Exactly.
I was looking at how he was getting his points, which was off the pass. You want to be a number one or a number two or be really good in this league, you have to be able to create your own shot. And it's okay that he wasn't doing that last year. And Josh, you all right, you was a little hard on him because he wasn't there yet. But I was just saying that I need to see more in terms of his game developing. And I saw a little bit yesterday, the last game. I'm seeing more of it today. And I'm saying to myself, if he can create off the dribble, if he could, he already knows how to play. He's already steady. He's a thinking guy. He has the IQ. He can already shoot the three. If he can now shoot off the dribble, and not only that, he wasn't deferring. He was taking those shots. It wasn't like they were saying, all right, RJ, what can you do for us? No, he took it upon himself to go and get the basket. That's a big uptick in his game. So now I feel like, for me, I can be encouraged. Before he was doing it was okay. It was all right. But now, to me, this is the next step. Same thing with Obi last year, a mess. But now his game is much better. You got to acknowledge it. So I think as long as we're not sticking with the same narratives, even though people's games are changing, it's fine. His game is changing. You got to give him props for now. Now it's about consistency, right? You can have a good game. It's about consistency at this point.
Yeah.
If we had to hold people prisoner to their to certain takes about players early on in their development, we would never let them hear the end of it. About what he was saying about Obi last season. He was ready to get rid of the boy.
Oh, I was on Obi too.
No lies about that. I was like, yo, what's up with this kid? No lies about that. Let me get to this phone call. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
This is Reverend John Infante from the Bronx. The Boogie Down.
What's going on with you, Rev? How you feeling?
Feeling great. Feeling great. What I wanted to, since last year, I wanted to comment on this. But this year, it carry on for the first, 4 games. I am glad that tonight, Julius Randle did not take the game and put the Knicks in a position they could have lost it. You have other people that could score. I don't know if I'm the only guy who's seen this, the only person who's seen this, but it's like the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes of the game, he becomes a ball hog. If you trust the other guys through 95, 97% of the game, trust them in crunch time. And I'm glad that he didn't touch the ball at the end, that it was R.J. Barrett, or it could have been Kemba Walker, or it could have been anybody else. You know, people talk about, but I haven't heard anybody talk about this. You know, I haven't heard anybody, I was telling my son, because he's also an NBA freak. I've been a Knicks fan since the late 60s. And I've seen many teams come and go, but I said a coach like Tibbs, I'm sure, is addressing that issue. And I'm glad that it went that way tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad, he was able to step aside. He only took 9 shots. I don't even know how many shots he took in the fourth quarter, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They have a different team this year. You have a lot of scoring. So, Fournier, Kemba Walker aside, you got R.J. Barrett that is a different player this year. And then you also have guys from the second unit. They can score too. I mean, I would like Tibbs a lot of times. One thing, a downside of him, he sticks with his guys too long. If a unit is not playing well, replace it with the other unit. I mean, he's very quick on a lot of things, but to his downfall, detriment, I think he plays the guys a little bit too long. And there's times that I wish that he will call timeout. Like at the end when the other team is piling up on the Knicks and it's catching up, call timeout. And if you call timeout, call timeout again. I mean, try to break, that flow of the other team. It's like you're trying to freeze them. The seventh player in a team is the coach. And the sixth player, I'm sorry. And the team is the coach. And he, sometimes, I mean, he's a great coach. Sometimes I wonder, I say, why doesn't he call timeout? Why doesn't he pull this guy after doing 3 blunders in a row? But listen, I'm glad that the ball wasn't in Julius' hands at the end. That's what I'm glad, and that's the comment that I wanted to make. And I just hope that it continues that way, that he trusts his other teammates.
Okay. All right. And, he did that tonight. Let's see if he continues to do it. I appreciate, Rev, I appreciate your call. Thank you for your time and look forward to talking to you again.
First time in a long time. I'm glad that I was able to get through.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
You guys have a great show there. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
All right, let me get to one more call, and then I guess we can, call this one at night. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
Hey, Sam, this is me again, man. I just had to call real quick because you talked about that email, right?
Uh-huh.
And I want to make sure that I'm there to speak to Josh A. Smith, all right? Because I feel like he's not being honest, Josh A. Smith over here. He's not being honest, right? And I just want to make sure that I'm the guy that's there tomorrow. So I sent you an email. I'm the one that called Bubba Whopper Verizon and no take, whatever you call that guy, talk about them. So I want to make sure I'm there because Josh A. Smith, I got something for you tomorrow, right? Because you go on your little tangents, little controversial tangents, and it's good. I'm proud of you, man. You're doing a good job. Stop playing my boy RJ and keep it true. RJ was a second-year player last year, dropped 18 points a game, and he was doing it as a complimentary piece. And I'm tired. I don't know, Sims, I need you to talk about this maybe another day. But do we have to address the toxic Knicks fans that every year are picking somebody? All right, you know what? Let's trade with Julius and see what our record is. I'll stop talking about my boy Julius. He's going to be all right. He's just testing out the woodwork right now in the end of games to see if he can, get better at clutch situations. But, Josh, I'm coming for you. I just want to let you know that when I come, I'm coming hard. Pause. But, listen, leave my boy RJ alone. That's all I got to say, man.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Josh, sounds like you got a ding, ding, ding. Sounds like you got a challenger on the way.
Bring it on. Let's go. I'm ready.
Sounds like you got a challenger on the way. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, the Knicks, they defeat the Pelicans 122-117. RJ Barrett had a career night, 35 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. A big night for RJ Barrett, man. And yeah, we're going to head up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a shoot around tomorrow. Sounds like we're going to have a heavyweight matchup tomorrow. So be there for both of them, ladies and gentlemen. Be there for both of them. Josh. Well, actually, I'll come to Steph. I'll let Josh get the last words.
Close the show.
Yeah. Steph, any last words before we get out of here?
I mean, I will say, just like we don't get too high on my suggestion is not to get too high on wins and too low on losses. I think the same thing with player performances as well. So now RJ should be closing games and Randall should not be taking shots down the stretch or what have you. Listen, if we're going to be a good team, we're going to need everybody. And we for sure are going to need Randall. I think what we're looking for Randall is just to find that balance between when he scores, when he passes. That's it. I don't think we're winning or we're going to be a very successful team with Randall taking 9 shots a game. We're just not. He needs to be him, but he just needs to move the ball around and get other people involved. And like somebody in the chat said, Randall is still our guy. Yes, we got other pieces, but it doesn't help now to have those pieces and now Randall drop out. We need everybody together if we're going to make this run.
Right. Yeah, I agree 100%. Savvy, couple of last words?
Yeah, I totally agree with Steph. I like to show out and pump my chest out every time we have a supernova type performance, whether it be a team performance or a player that I like that just goes off for a game, because it's fun to just get like that in the moment. But I do know that players will normalize around their average performance. And RJ's always been the guy that shows steady improvement as opposed to taking leaps and bounds at a time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Randall, I'm never concerned about him staying in these slumps. I think he'll be back. I think we can do more in times when he's not doing well to sort of, okay, let's clean your slate, run some different plays for you, microwave you a little bit and get you back in this offensive mix. But I do like the way that we have a versatility of facilitators out on the floor. And I think that's going to come and pay exponentially down the line. So Toronto Monday, let's get it. I hope we win every game on this road trip and then come home and just defend our home court.
Well, we already won every game on the road trip, right? We just
so we have Toronto back at the Garden?
Yeah, Toronto's at the Garden.
Yeah.
Oh, dope. Okay, we out there.
Yeah, Toronto's at the Garden.
We out there. New York Knicks, let's get it. Knicks family, salute. Have a good night. And BK all day, baby.
Yeah, no doubt. Josh?
Like my like my guy Denzel said and Remember the Titans. I don't scratch my head unless it itches. I don't dance unless I hear some music. I will not be intimidated. I stand by everything that I said about RJ Barrett. What we've seen from him tonight is what I've been waiting to see from him. I'm glad it's finally here, but he wasn't doing this before. The Knicks was not running the offense through him before. So if this is going to be tonight, moving forward, what we see from RJ Barrett on a consistent night, not the production, not the 35 points, but, giving the ball to RJ, letting him create, letting him be the one to close games and score, then at that point, he's untradeable. All right, so that's where I stand with it, and I totally stand by what I said. So all you haters, y'all can go somewhere.
Any words to your challenger tomorrow?
Let me just say, my man, listen. I understand, though. You in the chat, but you ain't ready for this here. This is real. This is some real stuff. I'm a professional.
Talk that talk.
Uh-oh.
I'm a professional. You're not ready for this right here.
Get on camera. Talk that talk.
Uh-oh. Ding, 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 ding. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys for joining us today. This post-game show was presented by nobody, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to be the presenter of this post-game show, you can have your logo right there. Email me. My email's in the chat. I'll put it in the chat before I get out of here. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you join us tomorrow. It's going to be fun. We got the shoot around. We got a controversy. Controversy seems like it's going to be pretty dope tomorrow. We're out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Spread love.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Nick.